Hi everybody. In this video I want to talk about file management in the iPad and working with Google Drive, which is going to house all of your files and documents and all that kind of thing as we're working in this distance learning world. So let me start out by saying anytime that you create something on your iPad, for instance a screen recording like I'm doing, or a voice memo or anything like that, whether you're taking pictures or you take videos, anything like that, you may have noticed that on our iPads now, we don't have true Google Drive and Google Classroom and the Google suite of tools here as apps. Now they actually are accessing through the web browser. The reason we decided to do that is because these give us full desktop versions of, like I'm in Google Drive right now. This is exactly what it looks like on my laptop. Okay, so there's no limitations. There's no iOS limitations like we had when we were accessing on the iPads. But the workflow is a little bit different. Okay, so let's go back and talk about how to go from, maybe I took some photos or video, or I created a voice recording or something like that, and I need to get that from the app itself onto my device, onto my iPad, and then up into Google Drive, and then from there I can turn it in Google Classroom. So here's what this looks like. So I recorded this this voice memo. I'm going to click the upload button, and you may notice that you don't have your apps that you used to have on here. That's just fine. What we're going to do is we're going to save this to files. So I clicked Save to Files, and this actually is saving in the file system in my iPad. And these are all files that I've created. You can see I'm just going to drop it in Class 1. Okay, now it might not be a terrible idea for you, teachers and students, to create files for each one of your classes, especially secondary classes, just as a way to organize yourself. To create files, you can do it in the plus here, okay, and I'll show you one more way. So I'm going to click Save, and then I'm going to go into my files. It's this guy here. Click on that to open it up, and you can see this is my file system. Okay, so I click on Class 1. There's my voice recording that I just created. I can also create folders. I'm sorry, I kept saying files. Folders. I can also create folders in here, and I can also move things around. So if Class 1, if I want that to live in another folder, I can just move it around. So I dropped it in that distance learning videos, or I can drag it and I can move it someplace else. So if I just want that to stand out alone, so you can move these folders around to put them, to organize however you want to. Okay. So my voice memo, coming back to that, is here in this folder. Now I'm going to go out to my Google Drive. Okay, now you have an icon, an app here, but as we saw before, this is accessing on a web browser. It's not the true app, but that's good. So what this looks like, to get a file from my device into my Google Drive, I'm going to click on New, and you're going to see some options here. I'm going to click File Upload, and then from here then I have some options. If it was a picture or a video, then I can just go into the photo library and find it, but because this was actually a voice recording, I'm going to find my folder, Class 1. Here it is. I click on it, and you can see now it's uploading into my drive. So what this does is it's going to drop it into my drive, but it's not necessarily organized from here. So I'm going to encourage you, just like you want to organize your file system on your iPad, organize your file system and your folder system in your Google Drive. So here's how you do that. Right now, anything that gets shared with you by somebody else gets dropped into the Shared With Me section, but anything that is just recently added, I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? It drops into the recent folder, but it's not organized from there. It's just most recent piled onto each other. So you can do some things in your different files here. So if I click on this to open it up, I've got some options. I can click the menu and I can star, which basically is like a favorites. So when I click on star, it's going to drop it into this folder. So it takes it out of all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of files and it drops it into a smaller starred folder. It doesn't move it from one place, it just adds it in here as a duplicate, and I can access that anytime. The other thing that I can do with any of my documents, any of my things in my drive, when I open it up, I'll just show you here. I can move things around. So I'm in a Google Doc right now. And if I use this icon up here, my folder icon, I can move it to any other folders that I want to, or I can create a new folder. So I just select what I want, click move here, and that would move it from one place to another. So what I would suggest is that you create folders by doing this, create new folder for each one of your classes, secondary students and teachers. I would suggest doing that. You could do folders for units. You could organize however you want to, but I would encourage you to organize because there's going to be more and more things happening and your drive is going to become messy over time. So take that time to organize things. Make sure things are named. You can see some of my things I've done an okay job of naming things, but that way also you can search for folders and files and everything just by typing in the name of a document or even a word or two that you think is in the document, and it will find things for you. Okay, so that's how to get things from like voice recordings and videos, screencasts, and that sort of thing into your files on your iPad and then up to Google Drive.